In today's video, I want to talk to you a little bit about my training for riding Black Canyon in a day. Turns out 3 weeks goes by really fast when you're training for a 65-mile mountain bike ride. And the time has gone by too fast, in fact. But before I jump into what I've been doing to prepare, I want to remind you to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Also, click the like button if you would. You can also buy some items from the Dusty Betty shop. I've got some really cool items like my Pedal Industries race day bag. They also make a Dusty Betty changing poncho, so if you ever have to change into your gear or out of your gear at the trail, you don't have to try and wriggle around in the backseat of your own vehicle getting dressed or worry about accidentally flashing somebody's kid and winding up on the sex offenders list, because that's no good. So just get a Dusty Betty changing poncho. There's also some socks. You can also find Dusty Betty t-shirts and some other cool stuff at the Dusty Betty shop. So check out the link below. If you want to do a little more to support this channel, you might consider becoming a patron. I'll make sure I include a Patreon link. And I want to thank my patrons because they make these videos possible. So 3 weeks really isn't a lot of time to prepare for something like this, but I want to talk you through some of the kinds of rides that I've been doing to get myself ready. One of the rides, as you might imagine, is a little bit longer ride. Over the past 3 weeks, I've done a couple of 20-25 mile rides, and my thought is that this close to when I'm actually going to do the big ride, I don't want to burn my legs up, so 20-25 miles is good for a long ride. I just try to push it a little bit harder so that hopefully that will translate to a lower power output over more miles. That's my goal. The Black Canyon Trail, which I'm going to be riding, that is my big ride that I'm prepping for, is one of those ones that has a lot of downhill, but it also has a lot of up and down, and even some sustained uphills thrown into the mix. So I have also done Schnebly Hill Road, which is a Jeep road here in Sedona. It's about 5 miles up to the top of the plateau. It's not very technical, but it's one of the more sustained climbs in Sedona without a lot of tech that's going to get you out of breath, but it's just one of those ones that's kind of continuous over the 5 miles, so you can just get a long, steady climb, really heat up those glutes and get the legs climbing, and then it's just a quick zip down. I also had just kind of my normal rides, and I just tried to push it a little bit harder than normal, again hoping that the harder effort will translate to a little bit less effort on the day of over a longer period of miles, because there are some times when I've only got an hour or two to ride, but I still wanted to spend some time in the saddle with this coming up. I really want to do this. All the pieces are in place. We've got the help with support vehicle. We've got someone to watch our daughter all day, and Steve and Cody will be out there, even though I probably won't be riding with them since they'll be on single speeds. They'll be pushing it a little bit quicker. But I hope it's enough. I really hope it's enough. I really want this. All right, so tomorrow is the day that I'm going to be riding the Black Canyon Trail in a day. And it's going to be a big one. I've got a few things to do to get ready, and I'm just going to take you along with me and kind of show you some of the things I'm doing to get myself and my bike ready to go. First thing on my list is getting my bike clean. This is my beautiful Ibis Ripley. Ain't she a beaut? I have my Wahoo bike computer mount that I put on here. I love this mount. It's the best. It's by K-Edge. I also have this Evoc multi-frame pack, and I love this little thing. It comes with 4 different straps, and you can decide where you want to put it on your frame, which is great because you have a lot of options. And so I keep in here like my multi-tool and some sealant and a spare tube. I use a Tubolito, and then just a few other things like, you know, master length, valve core removal tool, stuff like that. I'll include links to this and my saddle and a bunch of other of the gear that I use in the description. So if you're interested in some of these things that I use, make sure you check that out. Sometimes these specialized tires have a bit of a hard time sealing, so I've been losing a little more air than normal since I put these on. I'm going to go ahead and put a little more sealant in there, and then hopefully that'll get them to the point where they're like truly sealed. But I just want to make sure that I do that before this big ride, just to make sure I'm fully topped off on tire sealant. For sealant, I use Orange Seal. They are a Dusty Betty partner. I really like the Endurance sealant. I feel like their sealant lasts a little bit longer for me than some of the other sealants out on the market. And I also like this fact that it doesn't smell disgusting, because sometimes like stands, when you pull a tire off the rim, it smells like a dead animal is in there. And I know that's kind of silly, but that is kind of like an added bonus. My pedals are also a little bit crunchy, and they've been a little tricky to clip in and out of. So I've cleaned those out, and I'm going to be putting a little bit of tri-flow in those to make sure that the mechanism is moving nicely on those. I also want to make sure that I get my drivetrain lubed up and ready to go for tomorrow. So I've cleaned it, and I'm going to put some of the Muck Off dry lube on, which I've really been liking. I feel like it keeps my drivetrain running really clean. So I'll put that on. All right, the Ripley, she is ready. I expect that long before my legs get burned up, my tushie's going to start getting a little bit sore. So one thing I want to make sure that I have in case I need it is some chamois cream. This is the D's Nuts Bliss Pro, the women's one. And I've got a little pot, so I'm going to put some of that in there. And then this I always just keep in my race day bag, my Pedal Industries race day bag, which I'll have a link to that if you want to get an awesome gear bag like mine. And it's just handy to keep around, because when you need it, you need it. And so it's just good to keep where it's handy. I'm also on my period. Thankfully, I'm a few days in, so hopefully I'll only need to dump my menstrual cup once, maybe twice. But I want to make sure that I've got some baby wipes, and I've got a little doggy bag that I can put my trash in, so I can carry that out. And I need to go find my little tiny bottle of hand sanitizer as well. All right, I've got GoPro batteries charging. I'm rotating those periodically. I've got my headlamp charged. I've got my bike computer charged. I have a Tubolito tube that is strapped to my frame in my little Evoc multi-frame pack. That thing's awesome. But I'm going to bring a backup tube as well, because anything I can do to stack the cards in my favor is going to be a good thing. I'm also going to bring one CO2 just to hopefully save a little bit of time if I do end up having any problems with tires. This is the 3-liter Evoc hip pack, and the water reservoir can hold 1.5 liters of water, and I believe that is where I'm going to be running my tailwind. So I'll just try and keep that pretty topped off with the tailwind, and I can also take a shorter water bottle on my Ibis Ripley frame, so I'll have that. I wanted to get some Aftershokz headphones, and I think I still want to make that happen, but it's not going to happen in time for this ride, so I am going to have these earbuds, which I will put in my hip pack, and if I'm getting lonely and morale is low, I'm just going to make sure that I have some fun playlists downloaded and maybe some podcasts that are kind of upbeat and energetic, and hopefully that will help me get through some mental lows. I've also got my Pedal Industries race day bag, which this thing is awesome. I'll include a link to this, because if you want something like this, you can definitely get one. But it holds my shoes, my helmet, and then it's got labeled pockets for things like socks, bike computer, sunscreen, gloves, glasses. So everything is labeled, so it's nice because it's also kind of a checklist as you go through all the pockets to make sure that you have everything. And, where I'm like cleaning gloves and things like that, it's just a good opportunity to make sure that I actually do have everything as I pack this bag. So here's kind of an overview of what we have planned for food. We have this awesome Stanley water cooler. And this thing is great. It has good seals and these little flip-top things instead of being a screw-on lid, because I feel like those ones always leak, and this one does really well. I'll include a link to that. We also have a small scepter can with a little bit of additional water. Should we need that, we can refill it into there. We're also going to have some sandwiches in the cooler, and I also made a batch of these. I'll put the recipe. These are from Scratch Labs. They're like these little rice cake things. I love Tailwind Nutrition and their products. You guys know that. They are supporters of Dusty Betty, and I really do like what they make. Their products are gluten-free, non-GMO, vegan, soy, and dairy-free. They don't add any dyes or weird crap. It's just pretty simple stuff. I've got a couple different things here. I've got their Endurance Fuel, which I use during a ride, and then I will also have some Rebuild Recovery and Vanilla that I can mix up at the end of the ride. These are really great. It's basically supplying you with sugar and carb kind of calories as well as electrolytes. So if you're sipping on that throughout, especially a long ride like this, it just kind of keeps your blood sugar and your energy pretty steady throughout the day. And it's really nice. You've got options. You could mix it pretty rich, especially if it was like really hot and you were going at like a race pace. You might mix it to be a little more on the potent side. For me tomorrow, I'm going to be eating a little bit of solid food throughout the day as well. So I'll just kind of have a little bit of a milder dilution of Tailwind in my water. And that will just kind of keep me mostly topped off. And then there will be a couple opportunities for me to eat a little bit of solid food as well. But I do feel like having some of that pretty steadily throughout the day, especially on these long rides, really does help me just kind of continuously feel good. I never get to that point where I'm reaching too much of a deficit for calories and electrolytes and start feeling crappy. So it just kind of keeps me ahead of the game throughout the day. So that's my plan. I am also going to bring the big bottle of orange seal just so we won't need it, because that's how things work. And I'm also going to put a couple more zip ties in my pack because I used up the ones that I had at mountain bike practice with the high school this fall, and I've been needing to put some new zip ties in my pack. Those are just really handy because they can help get you out of some dicey situations. I've got one last load of laundry going through the wash, and Steve and I have both also cleaned out our helmets, which were quite disgusting. I'm glad Steve thought to do that. I forget how grody those things get, so that'll be nice to have a fresh helmet tomorrow. All right, this is my dad. This is half of my awesome parental unit, and we are just going over where we're gonna meet tomorrow with them to resupply since they're doing our vehicle support, and it's gonna be awesome. So I got my mom and my dad here, and they're a pretty good team. So I think we're gonna be in good hands tomorrow.
But she hasn't explained how this fits in yet.
I think little Dusty will have to show you how that one works into the whole equation.
Okay, that works.
Alright, I downloaded my route to my Wahoo Element Bolt bike computer, and this really is awesome. And what everybody talks about with these is that they are easy to use, and they really are compared with other bike computers. They still have a lot of great features, but I feel like it's just got a really great user interface. They did a really good job with that. We're getting picked up by our friend Cody at about 5:30 in the morning. So hopefully I'll get a good night's sleep. Wish me luck.